Hey everyone, guess what? I'm back home. As you can see, I'm not in a hotel room today. So I was very busy over the weekend. I didn't get to go live, so I thought I'd do one more today where we could talk a little bit more about the trip to San Francisco, and you guys could ask me any last questions that you have about my trip to San Francisco. Okay. I also have a story to tell you guys. I had a bad experience while I was in San Francisco, and I'm going to tell you about the bad experience. And I'm also going to teach you a couple of new words because, in order to describe this experience, you'll probably need some new words in order to describe it. All right. So, for today, here's the first thing that I'm going to ask you. Please introduce yourself. All you have to tell me today is what's your name and what country you're from. That's it, because I want to tell you guys about this bad experience that I had in San Francisco. Okay, so while I'm telling you this story, if you guys have any questions about my trip to San Francisco, then put your questions in the comments so that I can answer them. Okay, but first I'm going to start by telling you a story. So I was in San Francisco, and this was probably Thursday or Friday. And I wanted to go to visit, I think it was a museum. It might have been the Bread Museum, but I was going in a cab. Okay. So oh, you Berth, how are you? Good to see you. So I got into the cab, and we started to head for the destination. It might have been, actually, now that I think about it, it was not a museum that I was going to. It was a restaurant. I was going to lunch. That's what happened. So, Anna, hello, welcome. Yes, you can come on in. You're welcome to these classes, okay? So, I was in the cab, and we were headed to the restaurant, and I was on my phone. So while I was in the cab, I was looking down at my phone, and I was just reading something. I think it was a book, maybe something in Spanish that I was reading for practice. But I was in the cab, and I was looking down at my phone. And Stephen, hello, good to see you. Welcome back. Thank you. So as I was in this cab and I was reading, I started to feel really, really sick. And at first, I didn't understand why I felt sick. I was hungry. That's why I was on my way to lunch. So I actually really wanted some food. But all of a sudden, I started feeling sick, especially my stomach. I was feeling sick to my stomach, and it seemed really strange to me. All of a sudden, one minute I was feeling fine, and the next minute my stomach felt sick. I really did not feel well. And it took me a couple of minutes to figure out why I felt sick. Here's why. Remember, I told you guys that San Francisco is not flat. Okay? San Francisco is very hilly, right? The roads, the sidewalks, all the streets, they go up and down, up and down, up and down. And being in that car, going up and down, it felt like a roller coaster. And reading while the car was going up and down, that is what made me feel sick. So here's my question for you. There are 8 people here, okay? I can see you guys. I know how many people are here. My question is, what do you call that kind of sickness? Okay? There's a special name in English for that kind of sickness. And there are at least 2 different names that we have for it. I'm trying to think. There might even be more, but I'm curious if you guys know what that kind of sickness is called. Okay, so Manira, hey, I almost missed your comment. Good to see you, Manira. And who else is here? Abdul Salam, good to see you too. And let's see. Oh, can I? Anna, you want to come to San Francisco? Well, you know what? I'm not there anymore, but you can go to San Francisco anytime you want, Anna. Same, hello. It's good to see you. So today we are not doing a regular lesson, but I have a story to tell you about a bad experience that I had in San Francisco. Okay, so Abdul Salam, you want to speak English fluently? That's great. You need to practice a lot. That's all it takes to be fluent in English. You got to practice a lot, and you got to get help from people who really understand the language. Native speakers, a teacher, someone like that. All right. Let's see who else is here. Oh, Cesar, good to see you too. Cesar, are you at work right now? I know sometimes you watch these classes from work. All right, so my question is, what do you call that type of sickness? I was in the car, and because the car was going up and down, up and down, up and down, that made me feel sick. It made my stomach feel sick. What do we call that kind of sickness? Does anybody know what that's called? Oh, Angie from Colombia, welcome. Good to see you. All right, guys, I'm going to help you out because this is a little hard. I was curious if anyone was familiar with these terms. The first thing that you'll hear is people will call it car sickness. Car sickness. Okay, so not everybody has this problem, but some people, when they're in a car, maybe for a long time, or maybe it's on a road that goes up and down, some people in a car will start to feel sick, especially their stomach. Their stomach will feel sick. So we call it car sickness. Now, you don't always have to be in a car for this to happen. You can also get that same sick feeling from a ride, like a roller coaster, okay? Or from a boat. A lot of people get that sickness when they're on a boat or a ship, because a boat or a ship moves up and down, up and down. So it can also make you feel sick. So another word or phrase that we use for this kind of sickness is not car sickness, because you don't have to be in a car. We call it motion sickness, okay? Because that sick feeling comes from the movement or the motion, up and down, up and down. That's what causes people to feel sick. So a lot of times we'll call it motion sickness, or if you're in a car, then you can also call it car sickness. But I got really sick in this cab in San Francisco, and I think it's just because I'm not used to the roads being so hilly. Like where I live in Connecticut, the roads are very flat. So I wasn't used to that motion up and down when I'm in a car, and that made me feel sick that one day. So that was my one bad experience in San Francisco. Not that bad. Okay, there are worse things that could have happened, but they didn't. So it's really not that bad. Anaida from Russia. Hello, good to see you, Anaida. Who else is here? Abdi, confusion. So you were taking a guess at the name of the sickness. Confusion is not what it's called. Car sickness or motion sickness, but good guess, Abdi. Basant from Egypt, good to see you. All right, Ashti, very good to see you. And Manira, okay, I see your guess. Vomit. So vomit is not what we call the sickness, but vomit is what you might do if you really start to feel sick. Some people get so sick from that motion that they vomit. Okay, so Manira, you're right. If you feel sick like this, you might vomit. Not always. I didn't, thank goodness. But sometimes it happens. All right, Carrie, good to see you. I'm good, and I'm back home, as you can see. All right, so I finished telling you guys my story about motion sickness in San Francisco. Now I'm going to ask you guys, with the last few minutes that we have here, do you have any questions about my trip to San Francisco? Anything that you want to ask about San Francisco, about California, about traveling, about the United States? Last few minutes that we have here, have about 6 more minutes. Last few minutes, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. All right, so let me check. Same, tell us about the bad experience and good experience. Okay, well, so you heard about the bad experience. I got car sick. Good experiences, I'll tell you some of the things that I did. First, you guys know I went to the cable car museum. That was really awesome. And I went to a bread museum. That was also very cool, especially because I love baking bread. So going to the bread museum was my favorite museum in San Francisco. Eddie from Taiwan, good to see you. Welcome. Who else is here? Aziz, have I ever visited Pakistan? Okay. No, I have not visited Pakistan. I have been, let me think. I want to say the closest I've been to Pakistan is Thailand. Aziz, I think that's as close as I've ever gotten to Pakistan. But one day I would love to visit. Abdul Salam, how is the weather in San Francisco? Okay, so this is a good question because the weather in San Francisco is very interesting. It changes a lot. So the first couple of days that I was in San Francisco, it was pretty cold, like between 50 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And then a few days later, like around Monday, Tuesday, last week, it was really nice. It was about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That was beautiful. You don't have to wear a coat or anything like that. But then around Wednesday, it got cold again. So it was between 50 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit, I'd say. So that's pretty chilly. 50 to 65 degrees, I would probably wear this. I would zip it up, and I'd probably wear a coat over it most days. Okay, so yeah, in San Francisco, this time of year, definitely bring a coat. All right, Abdul Salam, I hope that answers your question. Basant, so have I visited Egypt before? I have not visited Egypt, but I've been in the area. I have been to Africa. I visited Tanzania, which is in East Africa, I'm sure you know. So that's not that far from Egypt. The other place I've been to in Africa is South Africa. So all the way south, and that's further from Egypt because I know Egypt is north. When I was in San Francisco, one of my cab drivers was actually from Libya, which is very close to Egypt. So I met a Libyan guy while I was in San Francisco, but I've never been to Egypt. All right, Manzoor, hello, good to see you. And Aziz, what's my hobby? All right, well, maybe we can talk about hobbies in a little bit. But Steven, did you buy any ideas? Oh, you mean, did I get any ideas that will help you guys to improve your English? Not really from San Francisco, to be honest. But the one thing that I did want to do this week to help you guys is I'm going to make a podcast episode describing all of the different things that I got to see in San Francisco. So that will be great listening practice for you guys. So hopefully, keep your fingers crossed. I'll get that done by Friday. You guys will have a podcast to listen to, and it will be all about San Francisco. All right, Stephen. Jimmy, how's the weather? So yes, Jimmy, I just talked about the weather, but that was a good question. And let's see. I already talked about Egypt. I've never been to Egypt. And oh, did I visit any pubs in San Francisco? Um, Good question. I did not visit any place that I would call a pub. We visited some restaurants that were very casual and they had a bar. We went to some restaurants like that, but not an actual pub. So, no, Abdul Salam, I did not visit a pub. All right. I'm going to answer the one question about hobbies now. Who is that? Aziz. What's my hobby? Well, I'll tell you one hobby that I have only because I brought it up last week. I really love baking. Okay. So, baking, I bake lots of things. I can bake pies, I can bake cookies, I can bake bread, I can bake tarts, I can bake oh, what are those little things called? Other pastries and things like that. I can bake a lot of things. So baking is something I really love to do. And going to the bread museum, for me, that was awesome, because the thing that most people don't know about baking is that baking is a lot of science. Baking is all about chemistry and science. So you really have to be kind of aware of how science works and also how math works. Math and science are actually very important for baking. And I always loved math and science. So I think that's a big part of why I love baking. So there you go, Aziz. That's one of my many hobbies. All right. So today, guys, I'm sorry I have to go, but later on this week, we will have a class like our old classes. We'll have a topic that we discuss. We'll do some practice with English. We'll start doing that again this week. I know some of you guys really missed that last week, but that's okay. We survived. It's a new week, and we'll have some new classes this week. All right, guys? So let me check the comments to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, wait, I did miss some things. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So, Basat, I'm welcome to visit Egypt one day. One day I will visit Egypt. Ashti, are you thinking about visiting Kurdistan someday? You know what? Yes, I actually have thought about visiting that whole area. I've never really been anywhere in the Middle East. So, yes, I would love to visit that area one day. Aziz, you're you like my laugh. Okay. Thank you, Aziz. And let's see, Eddie, what's the popular thing in California? Oh, that you can buy for friends. I don't know. I'll be honest, Eddie, I am not the type of person to buy little things like that. I mean, of course, there are lots of things to buy. T-shirts. You can buy little toys that look like the trolley. Remember the trolley I showed you guys? That's really only in San Francisco. In the United States, I think San Francisco is the only city that still has that old style trolley. You can buy things like that, a little toy trolley. Those would be cute if you wanted to give something to a friend. But, I don't usually bother with those things. But good question, Eddie. Xavier, good to see you. Yes, I had a very nice time in San Francisco. It was part vacation, part work. I was still working. I was still teaching classes. Carrie, I always think of Hollywood whenever I hear the word San Francisco, California. Yes, so here's the interesting thing, Carrie. San Francisco and Hollywood, I don't know if you know this, but those are actually two different places. San Francisco is in a different place than Hollywood. I don't know California that well, but I think Hollywood is closer to Los Angeles. Okay, but it's in the same state. You're right. When people think of California, that state, they think of Hollywood, where all the movies are made, even though, movies are made in lots of different places. But always people think of Hollywood when they think of California. Yes. Steven, do I like dancing? Yeah, sure. About as much as the next person. I'm not a great dancer or anything like that, but I like dancing. It's fun. All right, guys. Oh, the food that I enjoyed in San Francisco. Oh, the food I enjoyed. There's a lot of good food. I will say the seafood, like crab, lobster, those were amazing in San Francisco. And the other thing that I had that was really, really good was the Italian food. The Italian food in San Francisco was amazing. So if you're ever in San Francisco, definitely find some good seafood and definitely find some good Italian food. All right. So, yes, that's what I would recommend if you're in San Francisco. Assad, hello. Um, Same, you can be my tour guide in Egypt. Wonderful. Oh, Abdul Salam, right now it is 12:45 p.m. So it's about lunchtime. And guess what, guys? I gotta go. I've got to head to another appointment. All right. So thanks for listening today. We'll get back to our regular classes very soon. And if you still have more questions about San Francisco, go ahead and put them in the comments. All right, guys? I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day or a good night. Bye, everyone.